Good morning, children. It's Mrs. Robertson here again today. I'd like to start our collective worship by saying, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." So today, children, we are going to be thinking about another patron saint. And you may remember last term we talked about St. David, the patron saint of Wales. Well, at the end of this week, on the 23rd of April, there is another patron saint we're going to be thinking about, and this time, this is the patron saint of England, and his name is St. George. So today we're going to find out a little bit more about him. So, as I just said, we will be celebrating this on Friday this week because it's the 23rd of April. Now, St. George is the patron saint of England, but he's also celebrated in other countries. Every country has its own patron saint, who in times of great danger is called upon to help save the country from its enemies. A patron saint is the protecting or guiding saint for a particular person or place. St. George is the patron saint of England, St. Andrew is Scotland's, St. Patrick is Ireland's, and St. David is the patron saint of Wales. King Edward III made George the patron saint of England in 1350, many years ago. St. George's emblem, a red cross on a white background, is the flag of England and is also part of the British flag. So, who was St. George? I'm going to list some fascinating facts about him. He was born in Turkey. He lived during the 3rd century. He was a Christian. He became a Roman soldier at the age of 17. He was known for his bravery. He protested against Rome's persecution of Christians, and he was imprisoned and hurt and then killed, but stayed true to his faith. So George lived about 300 years after the time that Jesus walked the earth. He lived in Palestine, the same country that Jesus had lived in. He was a follower of Jesus, and today Christians call him St. George. St. George is the patron saint not only of England, but also of Aragon, Catalonia, Ethiopia, Georgia, Greece, Lithuania, Palestine, Portugal, and Russia, and also a number of cities in the world. Many different stories are told about George, and we don't know if all of them are true, but they are all good stories which help us to understand what George was like. One of the stories that we know about George is about a city that was troubled by an evil monster or dragon. The frightening, terrible beast kept coming to attack people, so each day they would feed the dragon a sheep to make it go away. But unfortunately, it always came back the next day. After a few months, there were no more sheep left in the whole area. That was when they took a terrible decision. Each day they would give the terrible beast a person. They then put everybody's name on a piece of paper and put them into a big barrel. Each day a name was drawn out, and each day that person had to go out and meet the monster. All the people thought it was wrong to let people die like this, but nobody said anything in case they were told, "You've got to go out to the dragon next." While names were being drawn out of the barrel, they still had a chance of staying alive, so they said nothing at all. One day, the king's own daughter was selected to go to the dragon. He tried to offer money to the township to spare his daughter, but the judges said the princess had to be sacrificed. When George heard about this city and how people were being eaten one by one, he said, "This is wrong. The terrible beast must be stopped. I am going to go and stop it myself." He put on his armour and rode a horse, and he went out to fight the dragon. For that is what the terrible beast was. He had a sword and a lance and his armour. He also prayed to God as he fought the dragon that God would give him strength to overcome evil. Eventually, the dragon collapsed as it was exhausted. The king's daughter, who had come out of the city expecting to be eaten that day, was able to lead the dragon back to the city on a lead like a dog. The people in the city saw that George had conquered the dragon. They asked him why he had come to help them. "I am a follower of Jesus," he said. "When something is wrong and people are being hurt, I have to try to put it right." "But you fought the dragon by yourself," they said. "Even if I'm the only one, I have to try and help," said George. The people thought carefully about how brave George had been and was, and how kind George had been to them. "We would like to become followers of Jesus too," they said. Now, George made such an impression on so many people that lots of artists created images of him. Here is an example of a painting that one artist commissioned, and another of an image that was made in a stained glass window for a church. Both are quite spectacular in George's memory. So how is St George's Day celebrated? St George's Day is England's national day. In 1222, the English Council of Oxford declared April the 23rd to be St George's Day. As we've already said, St George's emblem is a red cross on a white background and is the flag of England and also part of the British flag. On the 23rd of April, St George's flag is flown all day. St George is also the patron saint of Scouting. On the Sunday closest to April the 23rd, the Scouts and the Guides go on parade to their nearest church. Popular custom for people on St George's Day is to wear a red rose in their buttonhole, the national flower for the national day. So children, let's just take a moment to reflect. What might you be scared of? We've heard how St George was very brave and overcame his fear of the dragon. Be brave and face your fears so that they aren't scary anymore. Do you know anyone who sticks up for other people like George did? Maybe you'd like to take some time to think of somebody else you know who's been very brave. We're going to finish this collective worship with a prayer thinking about George. So if you'd like to put your hands together or close your eyes. Lord, thank you for George, who helped other people and spoke up for what was right, even when he was the only one brave enough to do so. Help us to follow his example. Amen. We've come to the end of our collective worship, children. So I'd like to finish by saying, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you for listening, children, and hope you've learnt some interesting facts about St George today.